my surrogate took a little bit of time over his 5 minutes. And so we'll go back to the 5-minute rule now. Chair recognizes Mr. Tiffany from Wisconsin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I will honor that 5-minute limit. I want to do a follow-up, Director Davis, with in regards to Representative Jackson Lee's question. Is it correct that you folks received guidance to avoid arresting protesters unless absolutely necessary from the Attorney General?
Thank you for that question, Congressman. No, it is not.
So you were not told, the U.S. Marshals Service was not given guidance to avoid arresting protesters unless absolutely necessary?
The guidance from the Attorney General of the United States was to protect the Supreme Court justices' lives and that of their family and while at their residence, that we retained full authority to enforce the law, but also to make sure that we did not do anything that would place the Supreme Court justices' lives at risk. Excuse me.
Thank you, Director. We'll be following up on that. In regards to transporting prisoners that are in federal custody, how many of them are illegal aliens on your watch?
Thank you for the question. We do not track our detainees by that status, by immigration status.
Where can I find that information? And actually, Director, wouldn't that be germane? Wouldn't it be important to know that for the U.S. Marshals Service if someone is in the country illegally and you're having to transport them?
Thank you for the question. Again, we don't track by immigration status, and what we do factor in for transportation would be the offense itself, what they're being arrested and charged with.
You say, Mr. Chairman, maybe that's something we need to follow up in the future. Do you have staffing shortages in some of your offices around the country?
I think my marshals would say yes.
Is it true you're dedicating half a dozen or more deputy U.S. Marshals to provide armed personal protection for you?
For me personally?
Yeah, for you.
I won't get to the extent of the security measures, but I do have a protective detail, yes.
Does it include chauffeuring you to work each day?
I'm not going to get into the extent of the coverage. And I hope you will understand, because all of our details are risk-based or threat-based. And as a result of that, I just don't want to do anything that would expose me to further risk or threat, if you don't mind.
So the people that are on your security detail when you're at the office, because your office in Crystal City is a secure facility, is that correct?
Correct.
What do they do all day then when if they've come in, escorted you in, will take you, escort you home? What do they do then all day?
I appreciate the question, but again, I won't get into what my detail does or any detail. There's a lot of work that goes into protecting more than just what people may see. And once again, I don't want to expose our methods or talk about to what extent or the size of any protective detail, let alone mine.
Was there a threat assessment conducted in regards to what your security detail should be?
Yes.
So there was.
Yes.
Is that available to us?
I will get with your team to see if it is, to make sure it does not compromise. One, I would ask that it not compromise safety or that of my family. Once again, because they are risk-based and threat-based, I would prefer not to have risk and threat, but this is where we're at. And two, that it does not undermine or release any type of method. So I do commit to working with your team to see how we can be responsive to that request.
Yeah, to be clear, the questions are done for the sake of accountability.
Yes.
I certainly understand your personal safety and your family's safety in regards to this. And Mr. Chairman, this I think would be another ask that I would make is if we could get a copy or get an understanding of the threat assessment that this committee could evaluate if we would do that. Did your protection detail accompany you on recent travel abroad?
Once again, I'm not going to get into the level of coverage, and I don't know what travel you're referring to.
Have you and your office explored dedicating an aircraft for your domestic travel? So in other words, having an aircraft dedicated to the U.S. Marshals Service and specifically you as the director?
No, we have not.
You have not explored that?
We've explored, no, not for my personal travel. We are exploring aircraft for extraditions, for the transportation of our special operations group, for those operational missions in which commercial flight may not be prudent, but definitely not for my travel.
Do you have the numbers for what is the cost to the taxpayers for your personal protection detail?
Like I said, I can follow up with you. I'm sure we can provide you those numbers.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if we could get that, and I'm going to honor the 5 minutes here, I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair recognizes